Hey folks, Michael Mann from Michael Mann Security Services. Welcome to Immediate Responder Handgun Selection. All right. If you want to get a hold of us, you can get us at contact at michaelmannsecurityservice.com. You can always call me at 615-956-3912. Leave me a message and I will call you directly. So we've been talking about like what is an immediate response team? What are some of the handgun qualifications or the courses like the standard? We talked about that last week. So this week, whether it's proprietary or you're hiring somebody like a contractor to be your immediate responder, we're going to talk about handgun selection for them because this is a question that always comes up. So first of all, how does a handgun selected? Now, you may have nothing to do with this. Maybe you are over the security function. You guys are contracting this out to somebody and the contract company is supplying the equipment. But if you're paying for this and you're expecting these folks to respond to an active assailant event, you probably need to have some sort of ownership, or you at least need to be a stakeholder in their equipment. And you need to check on this because the equipment may not be sufficient for what it is that you guys are paying for. So let's talk about the pistol. Okay. So when we talk about handgun selection, this is kind of an older term because I'm an older guy, but this still applies. Like this is like 50 years old, but this still applies. This comes from Colonel Jeff Cooper. So I want it to be a heavy duty pistol. And what that means is like this thing doesn't have to be like a 1911, 45 caliber, like heavy, like by weight. When we talk about heavy duty pistol, number one, we mean that it is a rugged gun, which means you can beat it up. The sights aren't going to fall off of it. Pieces aren't going to break off the pistol. Like it's rugged. Number two, it's reliable, which means it is going to work every time you press the trigger. So I need a reliable, rugged handgun, something you're going to beat up on because pistols are made to be beat up, right? They're designed to fight with. And so they need to be rugged and they need to work or be reliable every time I press the trigger. They need to be easy to use. And when I talk about this, especially with the striker fired pistols today, we start adding external safeties on the gun. That's another element that we have to train into or put into our training. And especially with the striker fired pistols that are out today, most of the time external safeties aren't necessary. But for whatever reason, I've started to see manufacturers put quite a few of these on quite a few of the guns, trying to put external safeties on these striker fired pistols. Okay, so just think about it. It's one thing to think about easy to use. If I've got all these extra safeties, that's something that has to be built into the training. Just an example, one element. And then large in bore. And what we mean by this is at least 9mm or above, 9mm, 40 caliber, 45 caliber. And with today, with all the technology and the 9mm is really an excellent round. Right now, it's normally less expensive than 40 or 45 caliber. It's going to be easier to shoot for that security person. So because of recoil, and so large and bore, 9mm or above. So we're talking about 9mm, 40, 45. I'm a big 9mm fan, especially today. Okay. Some other things we talk about handgun selection. And again, ask these questions, even if you've got contractors. Mission or scope. Is this open carry like duty? So like, they have a uniform and like a duty belt, like they're on the picture, or is it concealed? And the reason, like they're wearing a jacket, you can't see the pistol. And the reason for that is I want to think about this because I want to start thinking about, man, if I want them concealed, do we want people to know that the pistol's there? Are they going to print? Like what kind of support equipment do they have? Like what's the scope or mission? That's also going to help determine the type of handgun. And then to get into that support equipment. So, if it's open carry or duty, they need some sort of retention on the holster, especially if it's, again, open carry and it's going to be out where people can see it. People could have access to it. They know it. Then there needs to be some kind of retention on the holster. If it's concealed carry, not so much, but it still needs to be a good holster that's going to retain the pistol somewhat. Belts, obviously, if it's a duty belt, it needs to be a quality duty belt to hold all the equipment, especially if it's open carry. Even if it's concealed, it needs to be a belt that's going to hold all that equipment because a lot of times the concealed are going to be inside the waistband, and so that belt still needs to be a decent belt. And of course, ammunition. Do they have carrier duty ammunition? I don't want ball ammo to be carried on duty. And that would be a question to ask in their support equipment. What kind of ammunition is being issued to these folks? So we want some sort of jagged hollow point or some sort of carry ammunition. We don't want ball or practice ammo. Okay. And then, and sometimes, especially in contract organizations, The officers don't even know any better. They've not been taught these things. And because of cost, a lot of times a contract organization will leave it up to the security officer to buy the ammunition. And the security officer doesn't know, they're going to go buy the cheapest stuff, which means they're going to have some kind of remanufactured ball ammo potentially, or possibly. So you want to check that. And then features, with concealed, and especially if you like covert carry with some of these smaller today with pistols that are smaller, some of these subcompact, they are awesome. I carry those, but it's good, especially if you're immediate responders. They need to have a full size grip on the pistol. So to make sure, like these really subcompact pistols, some of them don't have that. So that's something I want to look at because that full size grip is going to help with marksmanship. Sights or optics? Do they have, the fixed sights on the pistol? Are they the stock sights that came on the gun? Are they more enhanced? So do they have tritium sights for low light? Do they have optics on the gun? Is that needed? And if they do they have the right support equipment? So, if they've got some sort of a red dot on the sight, that's an optic. What does that look like? Do they have the support equipment for that to include extra batteries? Because those batteries were out. And is the officer actually checking those optics every morning before they put that pistol in the holster? And is that in some procedure somewhere? Because if the optic's not working and they're not used to training with the sights, in which contract security companies a lot of times don't pay attention to that because sometimes the officers are carrying these on their own. Like, what does that look like if the optic goes out and they haven't trained with the sights? Or, depending on the size of the pistol, sometimes if there's an optic, especially on these subcompacts, there may not really be a rear sight on the gun based on the mounting option. So some things to think about with the features. And then, of course, weapon mounted lights. Are they going to be in low light conditions? Does a weapon mounted light need to be on the pistol? What does that mean? That they've been trained with it? Do they have the right holster? What does all that mean with those features of the pistol? Okay, so just some things to think about. All right, folks, again, if you want to contact us, get us at contact@michaelmannsecurityservice.com, or you can call me at 615-956-3912. And remember, folks, it's about prevention, not response.